Today, we're going to talk about 5 GLP-1 news that you should know about. We're going to talk about Medicare coverage, Lilly's new drug Foundayo, and the cardiovascular safety of that drug, the GLP-1 Price War, and whether or not genetics influence on how efficient GLP-1s are for you. Let's start with the price war. This is something that we've been waiting for. Competition, more GLP-1 drugs out there to drive the price down. If you are on a GLP-1 drug, you know that it is expensive, it's not super accessible to everyone, and it's not always covered. For example, for me, I was overweight. I was 200 pounds when I started my treatment. It was not covered by insurance. I had to pay out of pocket. So that's pretty expensive. I pay around $450 a month for this. That's why I always say, follow, support, because it is not easy to continue this treatment and to be able to afford it. So if you want to help me with my channel, because I'm trying to make money with this so I can afford my treatment, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to buy any of the products I use, click on the links that I add here. It doesn't cost anything to you, and it helps me out because this is not cheap. But now the wall is starting to crack. The prices are starting to get lower. We're getting self-pay options from around $149 to $349. Novo Nordisk already said they're going to lower their GLP-1 prices in 2027. So that's next year. And this is happening because there are more drugs on the market. When you have more options, all these companies that are creating the GLP-1s, we're even going to have more. We're going to have retatrutide, maritide. All these drugs are coming to the market. So they have to compete because now you have to choose between them, right? And it's not just one big boss taking over the market. So we're going to see a lot of price difference coming around the next year, mainly when new drugs are already on the market. This year, we already have the pill forms of GLP-1 that are already available in the US. And next year, we're going to have even more. What we don't know is if this is going to translate this price difference to patients that are using health insurance. We don't know if this price is going to affect only self-pay. We don't know if the price difference is going to be on the initial dose so that they get you on the treatment, and then the price after that is just normal. So we don't know what strategies they're going to be using to try to get you to start your treatment and try to get you to use their drug. You've got to keep an eye on that. Now, there is a new drug on the market that is turning heads, and people are really watching for this one, and that's Foundayo. Lilly's new GLP-1 drug that's on a pill form comes shortly after the release of the Wegovy pill, and it's very, very promising. Foundayo is a once-a-day pill, and differently from the Wegovy pill, you don't have to take it without food first thing in the morning. There are no restrictions. You just have to take it once a day. You can take without food, with water. You can have other medications, taking it right after it. There's not so many rules like the Wegovy pill. The only thing they advise is to take it at around the same time of the day so that the drug can have a more steady effect. Foundayo is going to make this medication so much more accessible to people that do not enjoy needles, people that travel a lot and have to take their medication with them. I, for example, came to Brazil with 3 months of Zepbound. There was no Foundayo when I left, and there's Foundayo now. I would have preferred to travel with a pill. It was very, very difficult to travel with the injections, to keep it stored at a certain temperature. It was very stressful. It was a long flight, and Foundayo is here to kill that stress. There's no need to think about keeping something at a cool temperature anymore. Foundayo can be kept at room temperature, so it is an easier medication to manage. On the trials, Foundayo did not perform as well as Zepbound in terms of efficacy. I'm going to put the numbers here of what was the weight loss on Zepbound and what was the weight loss on Foundayo. But the most important thing here is that Foundayo makes it easier for people to remain on this treatment for long term. If you think about taking a shot and taking a pill, which one is the easier, right? And one thing I like to talk about all the time here in the channel is that maintenance is important. And this is something that a mistake that I made on my first treatment when I started my GLP-1 treatment. That was years ago when Mounjaro was just on the market, and I had to quit cold turkey because there was a shortage of doses that I needed. So I decided to quit cold turkey, and I regained a lot of the weight back. Even trying to not have that happen, it happened. It is very difficult to maintain the weight once you stop the medication. So the way that you don't lose all your hard work is to follow a maintenance plan that you will discuss with your doctor. My maintenance plan is to reduce my dose of Zepbound until I get to the lowest dose, 2.5, and then spread out the dose, adding one more day in between shots until I feel like, okay, now I'm going to add another day, until I'm taking the shot every 15 days. Another option is, now that we have Foundayo, after I get to the 2.5, is switching to Foundayo and seeing if that's going to work for me as a maintenance tool. Another thing to think about is that Foundayo only uses one hormone, and that's GLP-1. Zepbound works through two hormones, and that's GLP-1 and GIP. So it has more intense appetite suppression. That's why in the trials it performed better. But that doesn't make Foundayo a worse option. It really is going to depend on how your lifestyle is and what makes it easier for you to continue the treatment. I had to wait for the sun to do its thing because it was blinding me. Now, let's talk about the heart safety data. This is going to be very quickly, but there's a new study that proves that Foundayo is good for your heart. It passed all the tests. These results are a major credibility boost. When these drugs are coming to the market, they have to go through strict trials. They have to run these tests to know if these things are healthy, if these things are good long term. So for Foundayo, it seems like it's not only safe for the heart, it is also good for people who already have cardiovascular conditions. It seems to improve some of the markers that doctors are looking for. So this is a big win for Lilly. This is a big win for Foundayo. And before we get into our final two news about Medicare coverage and does genetics actually make a difference in a GLP-1 treatment, make sure to like and subscribe so you keep getting more content like this. I post videos about GLP-1s all the time, basically every week. I always talk about GLP-1s, what's new, what are the new drugs on the market, how to deal with your treatment based on my experience, my research. I'm just very passionate about the subject. So if you are as well, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get to the Medicare news. If you use Medicare, you know that GLP-1s have been the messiest thing with Medicare. I actually just found out these great news, and CMS says that Medicare GLP-1 Bridge is being extended through December 31st of 2027. So that's end of next year. So that means that some eligible Medicare Part D beneficiaries can keep a path to access that medication while CMS can figure out what they're going to do after that. It doesn't mean that GLP-1 is now universally covered by Medicare. It's not even close to that, but the extension is still meaningful. And now let's talk about genetics. We all know that genetics influence big time on people's weight. Like, we all have that friend that's skinny and eats tons of food and don't seem to gain weight. I feel like just by watching someone eating, I gain weight. So will that interfere with my GLP-1 treatment? Sometimes it seems like it works best for some people. So this new study shows that variants in certain genes, I'm going to put the name of the genes here on the screen, they can actually make a difference in what your results are going to be on your GLP-1 treatment. And this explains why some people get more side effects, some people get better results, faster results. It could be all related to the genes. This is where this study is pointing at. And I have other videos on the channel before this study was even done. I was talking about this. Medication works differently for everyone. It's like skincare, or like a shampoo. My sister uses one type of shampoo, doesn't work for my hair, and the one I use doesn't work for her. It's the same thing with medication. We have different genetics. So for some people, Wegovy makes them extremely sick. And for other people, Zepbound makes them extremely sick. A great example of that is Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer could not stand the side effects of Wegovy. She couldn't do it. It was just too intense for her. But then she did Zepbound. I think she actually was Ozempic and Mounjaro, but whatever. Then she did tirzepatide, and it works for her. And considering that tirzepatide is a stronger medication, right? It is more efficient medication. That's kind of like counterintuitive, right? You would think that is stronger, you're also going to have stronger side effects. But for her, that was not the case. So that's because of genetics. And this is now more clear than ever when we look at the study and we see that there is proof that genetics do influence on your GLP-1 weight loss results. So it might be that the future of GLP-1s isn't just like one size fits all. Oh, I take Zepbound, so you take Zepbound. This is the more efficient one. You should take that. No, maybe it's a trial and error. Maybe you're going to try Zepbound and it's not going to work. And then you're going to try retatrutide, or maybe you do better with Wegovy. It might be that the future of this will be more of a personalized treatment where you have to find the right drug for you. And if you're taking one of these drugs and you feel like it's too much, you feel like you're having way too many side effects, you're past the first month and you're still feeling gross, you just can't stand it, maybe it's time to switch. GLP-1s should not feel like a disease. They shouldn't feel like you're sick all the time. Sometimes you will get the side effects because of something you ate or whatever, life. But it's not supposed to be every single day. It's not supposed to be super often. So you should evaluate what are your symptoms, how is your body reacting to the drug, and then you can make a decision. You have options now. It's not just Wegovy, you have Zepbound, and you also have the pill forms of GLP-1, and soon you're going to have even other categories of GLP-1s that are coming probably next year. And if you're having trouble with GLP-1 side effects, I'm going to add here my playlist on GLP-1s that have tons of videos on how to deal with side effects like constipation, nausea, diarrhea. Everything you need to know is in there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you when I learn some new stuff.